Have you been doing some races and you have some race medals that you'd like to display? Well, get yourself a medal rack and hang them on a medal rack. Today we're going to look at how to install a medal rack to display your race medals. If you're interested in the medal racks, I'll leave a link to those in the show notes. Now, let's get started. To install the medal hanger, I've assembled the following tools. First, I have a cordless drill because I'm going to have to drill some holes in my wall, as well as a drill bit to fit the size of the anchors to secure the medal hangers to the wall. I have a pencil in order to mark where I'm going to put the holes, a screwdriver to tighten the screws, a tape measure so that I can measure off the distance between my medal hangers. I have a hammer so that I can tap the anchors all the way into the wall and make them flush. I have a level. This is called a bullet level. It's a small level to make sure that the item I'm going to hang is straight. And the last thing I have below the bullet level is a piece of string, and on the end of the string I have a nut tied to it. This is going to act as a plumb line. I have 3 medal hangers and I want to hang them in a row, and I want to have them lined up. So once I get the top medal hanger hung, I'll use the plumb line, which is just going to be a string hanging down from the center of the top medal hanger. Now with that string, I will be able to center the other 2 to that medal hanger, keeping them all in a perfect row. So there we have it. That's all the tools I need to do this. Now that we have the tools, let's get started. Over the years, I've done a lot of races and I've accumulated a lot of medals. I've got a medal hanger here on the wall, and currently I have 54 medals on it. The problem is, I went into my file cabinet and I had a whole drawer full of more medals, and I'd like to hang them up and display them. So let's get started on installing a medal hanger and hanging the medals on them. I ordered a pack of 3 medal hangers off of Amazon, and they came in the other day. So I want to hang these. To begin with, I need to decide where on the wall I want to put them. Would it be better to put it up here, down here, over there, on a different wall? Where do I want to put them? Well, I've already decided I'm going to put them next to the current medal hanger, and I'm going to stagger the 3 so that I can have 2 rows of medals on each and have the medal hang over the next medal hanger, but still leave the medals hanging below it. I've got my hanger, I've got my tools. Let's hang these. To begin with, I'm going to hold this one up to the wall and decide, okay, do I want to move it to the right a little, to the left a little? Am I happy with the height? If I am, I'm going to grab my level. Now, this is called the bullet level. In here, there's a bubble. As long as the bubble is between, there's 2 lines in here, this is level. Because I don't want this to be hanging that way or that way. I want it to stay level. So once I have my position, I'm going to take my level. And if I have to tilt it that way a little or that way a little, now my bubble is centered. Next I want to mark the holes. There are 3 holes in this for screws. And I'm going to use a pencil. Never use a pen on a wall. Pencil can be erased. Pen can't. If you put a pen on a wall and you mess up, you're going to end up repainting that. So always use a pencil when you mark your holes. So the next step is I'm going to mark where my holes go. Now I can take this down and I've got my holes marked. For the next step, I've got my drill with a drill bit that should be good for the anchors. Now my drill has what's called a clutch on it, And this clutch will allow me to adjust the amount of torque. I can twist it all the way to drill, in which case I can't stop the clutch from spinning. Or I can adjust the clutch all the way to the number 1 position. I can stop it from spinning. Now I'm drilling a hole in my wall, so I'm going to select the drill position. I'm going to take the drill and I'm going to line it up to each of the marks for the holes. And then I'm going to drill a hole into each of these positions. Now for each of the metal hangers, the kit they came with a packet for each metal hanger. In that packet are 3 anchors, 3 screws, and also 3 offsets. Now that I've got my holes drilled, I want to put the anchors into the wall because they're going to hold these metal hangers in place. What's going to happen is with this anchor in the wall, when I put the screw in it, the screw is going to cause the anchor to expand. And that's going to create some tension against the drywall and hold it in. Right now the anchors aren't in all the way. They're currently sticking out of the wall, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to use the hammer to tap them in. Now you want to do that gently. You don't want to bam, 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 bam against the wall. It's just going to be a light tap. Now I can put the metal hanger up. And now I'm going to need my screwdriver. And I'm going to need a screwdriver that has a Phillips tip. Now this is a 6-in-1 screwdriver. This has a lot of different tips on it. I can pull this out. I can turn it around to get larger tips, smaller tips. I can take this flathead tip out, I can turn it around, and I've got a Phillips head tip. I love having a screwdriver like this because now I only need 1. Now I'm going to take my hanger, and I'm going to put my screw through it. Now there's a little offset. That's going to go behind the screw. So now all 3 of the screws are on here, and this should at this point be level because I marked my holes to start with. If I check, my bubble is in the middle. My hanger is level. Next, I just want to take my screwdriver. I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to tighten these. Now I could use my drill and put a screw head on my drill and do it. But if I don't set the clutch right, I run the risk of taking those anchors and either stripping them out, pushing them into the wall, or making my hole too big and messing things up. I'd rather use a screwdriver for something like this, because this is delicate. Now my metal hanger is installed and it's ready to have metals hung on it. Now I do want to put a couple metals on it because I want to decide what my spacing is going to be for the other 2 hangers going down the wall. So I'm going to grab a couple of metals and I'm just going to hang them off of the lower bracket. There are 2 brackets on here, just so I can get an idea of how I want to space these. Now it looks like these metals come down about 20 to 21 inches. So if I take that hanger and I put it at about 9 inches to the top of that hanger, well, that's going to be a good height. So I'm going to get my pencil and I'm going to mark 9 inches. Now I need my string. I'm going to use this as a plumb bob so that they line up in a straight row. So I made a hole on one side of this. On the other, I found a nut in my toolbox and just tied it to the end. Now what's going to happen is gravity's just going to hold this down. And this will swing a little bit at first, so I'm going to let it wait a minute. Then, once it stops swinging a little bit, I'll have a straight line down because gravity goes that way. I'm going to move this metal over. Now let's give this a moment to stop swinging, and then I'm going to mark where this metal hanger goes, and I'm going to repeat the process that I did for this one, and then I'm going to come down the same distance from that hanger to the next one, and I'm going to repeat the process. And when I'm done, I'll have all 3 metal hangers. So I'm going to go ahead and hang those, and we'll come back when I'm done and see what they look like. Alright, so I've got the 3 rows of metal hangers installed. But each metal hanger, let me show you these. Each of them has 2 rows that I can hang metals there and there on each side. And each of these are maybe about 1 inch apart. So I put this back down and show you something I had figured out a while back. Because if I do the 2 rows of metals, let me just take a few metals and put them on one of these. So I'm going to take one metal and put it on the lower row right there. Then I'm going to take another metal and I'm going to put it on the row above it. Well, here's the problem. The 2 metals pretty much overlap. So here's something I figured out a while back. I bought some paper clips. All they had at the store were these larger paper clips that have a plastic coating on them, but that's all right. I'm going to take the metals that are going to go on the top row, and instead of letting them hang all the way from the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top of it and I'm going to fold it back. Now that's going to make this a little bit shorter than the one below it. Now I'm going to take the paper clip and I'm going to run it through these pieces. So now when it hangs, here's how they're going to overlap. more like that. So now I can see both metals, the one below it and the one above it. And I'm going to do that with all the metals that are going to go along the top row of each metal hanger. Then I'll be able to see, I did that on this metal hanger over here. Let me move the camera. I did the same thing here. The top row metal hangers all have the lanyard folded back. So does the middle row, because this one has 3 rows. So that I can see all of the metals going up. So I'm going to hang the metals now, and we'll take a look, see what it looks like when they're done. There you have it. The metal racks are installed. I got my 3 racks. I have metals distributed between all 3 of them. I still have my old rack that's full, and I have space to add more metals if and when we ever start doing races again. Thanks for watching this. If you like this, please hit the subscribe button and the like button, and I'll see you next time. When you're finished with all your work, grab yourself a dustpan and a broom, and don't forget to clean up.